Good morning, everybody. My name is Max Edwards, and I'm the US-based sales engineer for Kakapo Systems. And today, what I'd like to do in our webinar is I want to go over one of our newest products, Vision360. Just in case anyone here hasn't seen any of our previous webinars regarding Vision360, we'll also do a review of some of the key features and highlights, just so we're looking at everything as a whole, but I also want to spend some time focusing on some of the newer features that we have. All right, so let's go ahead and let's begin. Now, before we jump into the live demo and before we start talking about what's new with Vision 360, I just wanted to quickly go over what is Vision 360. So Vision 360 is a contact center reporting and analytics platform for BroadSoft-based providers. It provides effortless access to real-time and historical data, as well as providing powerful and customizable analytics and reporting tools. It's also a complete replacement for the ECCR DBS solution that's going end of life or end of support by the end of this year. Now, what's new with Vision 360? So there's a few new features that I really want to go over with you folks today. One of the first new features is going to be heat maps. So we added heat maps as a way to quickly survey key metrics for call centers and hunt groups to ensure proper staffing, and just to ensure that you can provide a better customer experience overall. We've also included an auto refresh feature for our dashboards, so you can now use Vision's landing page as a live dashboard for all your call center activity. And then last but not least, we've done a lot of work in creating different report templates and creating a more powerful customizable scheduled report system. So you can now create customized reports for easy reference, or you can schedule customized reports so you can always focus on the most important metrics to improve your call center performance. All right, so let's go ahead and let's actually switch over to the live demo. All right, now a couple things before I dive into the demo here. The first thing I wanted to mention is that Vision 360 is designed to be very easy to set up and very easy to use. So the dashboard that you see here, all these different reports, all of this is available the moment that you turn a customer's account on Vision 360. All you need to do is assign the license and then create the access, and then everything will show up exactly as you see here. So there's nothing further that any of your engineering or your provisioning teams need to do on top of just assigning the licenses and creating the access. And as I'll talk about a little bit later, there's only two different license types that you need to worry about or keep track of. So again, we're trying to make this as easy as possible. Now, the dashboard here is meant to highlight, just some of the more important metrics and things that are going on with your call center. So for instance, we currently have 0 calls in queue. We've answered 20. We have 37 seconds is our average speed of answer. We have quite a few unreturned abandoned calls at 561. And now if you kind of scroll down the left here, starting with your top performing queues, you're going to see, how many calls have been answered, abandoned, or overflowed in those queues, as well as how many agents are currently joined. If I scroll a little further down on the left here, you're going to see that for our top performing agents, it looks like Lee here has answered 6 calls with an average handle time of 3 minutes and 36 seconds. So Lee's doing a great job today. He's currently available. 7 has answered the second most calls, but he's currently signed out. Lucy has handled the third, and she's currently in wrap up. And you can see Naomi here is an unavailable. So you can keep an eye on your agents and what they're doing, how they're performing, and what their current state is. Now, over here in the live now, what this is going to show is this is going to show any calls that are currently live at this moment. So it looks like here we just need to do a quick refresh. So we have a call waiting in queue. We'll go ahead and open that up. So you can see here that we have 2 callers in queue. You can see the call center and the DNS they called into if you need to identify specifically where they're calling, the remote number, the date, the start time, the queue position, and then if those callers were with agents, you'd see the agent name there as well. And as you can see, that increments up by 1 because there's 1 caller waiting in queue, or now there's a second caller waiting in queue, and you can see the longest wait time is adjusted as well. Now, related to the call outcome and the total calls and call outcome are basically the same thing. It's just two different ways of showing you the same data. Your total calls is going to show you your total amount of calls over a set time frame, which you can adjust here. And then your call outcome is just going to show you all that data, but just in a pie chart. So instead of looking at all the different spots where we abandoned calls, I can just go over here and see we abandoned 331, we've answered 20, 4 overflowed, 6 transferred, and 8 escaped. So I can get a good idea as to what's going on with those calls after they leave my call center. Now, the last thing I wanted to point out here is the today, week, month. So we've only been looking at this from the perspective of today, but I can change it so we can look at the last week's worth of data or the last month's worth of data. So we can get a much better idea as to how busy and active we've been before we dive into any of our other reports for further analysis. All right, so now that we spoke about the dashboard and we spoke a little bit about the dashboard refresh feature, we saw it in action, how that incremented up to 2 calls. We had the callers in queue as well. What I'd like to do is I'd like to dive into one of our reports. So we're gonna go into our call center summary. Now, with the call center summary, pretty much we're going to have all the different statistics and all the metrics that you would want in a call center summary. Incoming calls, answered, bounced, held, abandoned, calls abandoned in X seconds. And I say X seconds because that is configurable. I specifically chose 25, so you can choose whatever time frame makes the most sense. If you scroll over, we have even more metrics, even more metrics. So there's quite a lot in this call center summary. Now, what if I don't need all these metrics? Maybe it's a little overwhelming seeing all this information. I want to pare it down a little. So all I have to do is click on this little button over here to the right of your search box. And then I can scroll through this list and I can click whatever metrics I want to remove, or I can also click metrics that aren't included to add them in. So I can customize this so it only focuses on the metrics that make the most sense for me. Maybe we'll add in a second service level since we have up to 5 configurable service levels. Perfect. Everything is exactly the way I want it to be. Now, if I wanted to, let's just say, look at that data and with a slightly different sampling rate, I have that capability. We have 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hourly. Actually, let me show you folks here. I'll just do a custom time frame so you can see all of the sampling rates. So all the sampling rates that we have available are 15 minutes, 30 minutes, hourly, weekly, monthly, yearly. Certain ones will appear in certain areas. So for instance, yearly will appear when you're looking at about a year's worth of data, monthly when you're looking at months, so on and so forth. Now let's set this back to today. Because the other thing that I wanted to talk about now is the report templates and scheduling reports. So one of the biggest things with ECCR reporting is that all of the reports were canned. There's nothing you could do to change them. There's no flexibility, no customizability. If you needed certain metrics from one report, you needed to run that one report. So you may have to run 2 or 3 reports to get everything that you want. So with Vision360, we've really addressed that by allowing you to customize the reports. So let's just say I wanted to save this report as a template. I wanted to be able to bring this back up a few times a day. It's something that I'm going to be looking at often. What I'll do is I'll click this Add Report button, then click As Report Template. Opens up in a new window, and the nice thing is, since we did all that customization already with adding and removing metrics, all that work gets carried over here. So all I have to do is just confirm that every metric that I want is included. None of the metrics that I don't want are not included. We'll go ahead and give it a name. And then all we have to do from there is press save. That's all we had to do to create that sample, or to create that template, I should say. And it's right over here, CC summary. If I want to open it up, all I do is I click that little play button. I'll see that report exactly as I designed it. Or if I just need to access this report quickly without looking at anything else, I can always create a quick link. So all I have to do is go to that link, log in with my Vision login, and then that report will appear on my screen for me, so I don't have to click around to navigate. All right, so that was the creating a report template. The other part I wanted to show you folks here is the adding the as a scheduled report. So we had the capability of adding scheduled reports previously, but we didn't have the full functionality that we do now. Adding or creating a scheduled report, basically you can go ahead and you can customize it just like that report template. So I can go ahead and make sure all the metrics that I want are in here, add in any of the ones that I don't have that I may want, or remove any of the ones that I don't care about. Again, you have the ability to choose the call center, so I can remove call centers. And then my duration and sampling period were already set when I customized that report. All I have to do here is just choose my schedule. So let's just say we want this at 12:30 every day. All you do is just click the numbers or the times that you want, click OK, choose your output type, and then throw in your recipients. It's a small thing, but you are able to go ahead and throw in as many emails as you wanted here. So you can just, just click enter, throw in as many people as you need to receive that report. As soon as I press save, that's all we need to do to save that report. And then we can see here, it's now here. It's going to run today at 12:30. All right, so so far, we've covered the dashboard. We've talked about and looked at the dashboard auto refresh feature. We've looked at a report. We've looked at customizing reports, the different sampling values you have. And that we also looked at creating the report template as well as creating a scheduled report. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is the heat maps. So as I mentioned before, heat maps are designed to give you a high-level overview of the key metrics and what's happening with them in different parts of the day. So if I adjust this here, what I did is I just changed it. So I changed the start time to 4 a.m. and I changed the intervals to every 30 minutes. So we can see here basically at 5:30, from 5:30 to 6 a.m. on the 10th of January, we received 45 calls. On the 25th of January from 6 to 6:30, we received 64. So I can see basically some of the most key metrics, and then I can get an idea as to when my really busy times are, so I can properly adjust staffing. I can maybe do other things to improve the customer experience. Maybe we need a callback system. There's a lot of data I can glean from this. You can also look at calls abandoned, calls answered. And one thing I should have mentioned before, we do have a live call center, but we don't generally take many calls. It's mostly used for testing. So as you can see, where calls answered is a little spotty here, but for a live call center, this will be fully filled out, and then you'll get a really great idea as to what's happening. You also have average wait time here, which is really nice to see, and then keep my place in queue requests, which is our callback and queue system. We also have heat maps available for hunt groups as well. All right, so now that we've spoken about heat maps, we've spoken about all the newer features that I really wanted to go over. So I wanted to take the rest of this live demo just to go over some of the other highlights of Vision 360. So one of the things that we've tried to address with Vision 360 is we've tried to address the lack of non-call center data. So one of the biggest complaints I heard, and one of the most requested things I heard was about ECCR, was that it didn't look at non-call center data. It was call center only. So we've really tried hard to address that with our user reports, as well as our auto attendant hunt group reports and our cradle to grave call reporting. So starting with the auto attendant reports. What the auto attendant reports here are going to show you is it's going to show you basically how many calls your auto attendants have received, how many calls were transferred, which means how many of those callers who called into the auto attendant chose an option or dialed an extension to leave the auto attendant, and how many didn't transfer, as well as duration and menu and all that. I can drill down a little further and I can see where those callers are going from the auto attendant if I look at the auto attendant option summary. So for instance, we only have abandons for today, but if I go to last month, for instance, we can see that in the last month, we had a couple of users go to these two options, most abandoned, same thing here, and then most abandoned. So if this was a live account that we weren't, or if this was an account that we weren't using primarily for testing, this would tell me something. This would say, maybe my auto attendant isn't programmed properly. Maybe the menu options are off. Maybe the menu options aren't even programmed, or maybe there's no prompt applied. So it would give me more information so I know to investigate and I can resolve whatever the issue is to make sure that my callers are being properly routed. Now, the next thing here is the hunt group reports. So for hunt groups, this is also a really highly requested feature that we heard a lot about. And with hunt groups, we tried to approach them like call centers. So you can look at them either at as a hunt group, or you can look at them at, you can look at the users within hunt groups. So if we're looking at our hunt groups for this month, we can see, we have 3. We received, 182 calls total. We've answered 54. I have all the information that I'd want to know: how many received calls, answered, abandoned, wait time, talk time. I can always click on one of those hunt groups, and I will see basically all the calls that went through that hunt group, what happened with them. And then the other thing, as I mentioned, we can also look at each user in the hunt group. So instead of looking at it as a hunt group, like we're looking at call queues, we can look at the users in the hunt groups like we look at call center agents. So for instance, Avin here received 22 calls. If I click his name, it's going to show me all the different hunt groups that he received those calls from. So I know, okay, he's getting them from the accounts department and the test hunt group. None of them are answered, but if they were, we'd see the answer time and we'd have a much higher duration for some of these entries. All right, so those are the auto attendant and the hunt group reports. There's 2 other report types that I wanted to point out before we switch back and go over the question and have our question and answer. So if I go to user and summary, the report that I wanted to point out here is the outbound calls report. So if you have any clients that have any outbound sales teams where they have to call, X amount of people per day to try to make sales, and they're not set up in a call center, this is the perfect report for that application. So what this report is showing me is it's showing me how many total outbound calls people are placing. I can see how many outbound calls, external versus internal. So it looks like most of our users are doing internal calls. I can see our total outbound duration, average outbound duration, and then we can split it between external and internal. Now, if I need to dive a little deeper, maybe I wanted to see a little more information about some of these calls that these users were placing. All I have to do is go ahead and click on someone like Lucy over here. It's going to open up a call log, and I'm going to see every single call that Lucy placed out, whether it was an outbound external or outbound internal, the party that Lucy called, the ring duration, talk duration, as well as the total call duration. So we can really dive down deep and we can get a lot of information. I can even click on a specific call and I can go even deeper on it. All right, so that covers the outbound call report, or the outbound calls report. The last thing that I wanted to go over and talk about today in our live demo is the CLI tracing. Now, CLI tracing is basically our cradle to grave call reporting, sorry. So what you would do here is you'll throw in the DID or the DDI. So we'll throw in this number here. We'll search, and then we'll just adjust the duration to be a little bit longer. So we'll do this month. Now, when you first look at it, this looks kind of like a complicated large call log with a lot going on in it. But when you start hovering over the different entries here, you'll see that other legs and other entries get highlighted along with it. And what we're doing here is we're basically showing every single leg of a phone call from the moment it enters your system to the moment it's completed. So taking this one, for instance, taking this as an example, we had a call come into our support line. It bounced off of all these agents, and then it went to voicemail. So you can see here it was moved basically from all these, all these users from the call center to the users. Ultimately, it then went to voicemail. If I scroll down a little further, we have an outbound there. We have some more calls. So this really is a very powerful tool that wasn't available to customers before. ECCR doesn't have a cradle to grave call reporting quite like this that shows all the different legs of your calls, where the phone number is coming in from, date and time, direction, result, extension, your duration, remote party, move from, move to. But there are two additional metrics or two additional columns I like to add in here. I like to add in the failure reason, and I like to add in the external tracking ID. So the failure reason I like to add is, or the reason I like the failure reason is because it actually gives the technical reason for why a call didn't go through. So for instance, here, this call bounced off of Lee because he was busy. So that means he had his do not disturb on. If we sort through for some other codes, we'll see, we have busy, we have temporarily unavailable. If you have you dialed the wrong extension, you'll see a user not found. So whatever the reason, technical reason for a call failing, that will be listed in here as reported by the server, and it'll give your customers more information than they had previously about why a certain call may not have gone through. Now, the last thing I just wanted to mention real quick is the external tracking ID. So in previous roles of mine, I have worked as in technical support. And in tech support, I worked with some programs, Palladium, but mostly VoIP Monitor. I worked VoIP Monitor for about 5 years. Now, VoIP Monitor is used just to track different, trace calls, see what happens, check the SIP signaling. And one of the most important things to finding a specific call or a leg of a call was a field called the call ID. It was a specific ID for that call or that leg, and that's what this external tracking ID is. So with this system and with this tool, your customers will have more information at their fingertips. So if there are any sort of call quality issues, call quality concerns, the information that they have, with the information they have, they'll be able to provide you more information up front, and you'll be able to help drive to a resolution much faster. All right, so that covers everything that I wanted to go over in the live demo. So let's flip back to our PowerPoint here. I have one slide about how Vision360 will help you, and then we'll open up for question and answer. So how is Vision360 going to help you? To sum it up, number one, easy deployment. As I mentioned before, in the beginning of the live demo, there is no additional configuration that your engineering or your provisioning teams need to do. All you have to do is assign the license to the users, create the access, create the logins, and then you're good to go. The customer can log in. Everything that we saw on our demo here will be available for them right away the moment they log in. The other side of that is the simple licensing. So I mentioned before, there's only 2 licenses that you need to worry about or keep track of. We have the non-call center license, the Vision UC user, gives you access to all non-call center data. And then we have the Vision360 agent, which provides access to all call center and non-call center data. Vision360 was also designed with customer feedback in mind, so it addresses what your customers want to see. We've taken in a lot of feature requests, and we've implemented a lot of feature requests throughout trial periods that our customers were having. And with things such as the auto tenant reports, hunt group reports, cradle to grave call reporting, we're really addressing and adding in things that people really wanted but were missing from ECCR. Number 3, we all saw the interface. It was really easy to navigate, really clean and clear. What that means is that there's going to be less training time needed to get your customers up and running. We like to say if there's anyone who has any familiarity with call center reporting software, within 20 minutes, they'll know how to do 80 to 90% of what they need to do in Vision. It should just be that easy for them. Lastly, the pricing model was designed to make Vision360 accessible to all. We really want to make this available to a mass market. So we've tried to design everything, related to Vision360, deployment, licensing, pricing, in order to really achieve that and make it a mass market product. All right, well, at this point in time, I've actually gone over everything I wanted to for the live demonstration part. So I'd like to invite my colleague Leon just to go over any questions we may have been asked.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, we've got a question from Daniel. Can we have some more information on the 2 licenses and what they include, please?
Yeah, of course. So the 2 license names are the Vision UC user license and the Vision360 agent license. Now, the Vision UC user license provides access to all of the non-call center reporting. So that would be everything under the user and departments, hunt groups, auto attendants, and the CLI tracing. It just would not include any CLI tracing for call centers. Now, your Vision360 agent license, that gives you everything that the UC user license had before, as well as giving you access to all of that call center data. So all of the ACDQ reports, all of the ACD agent reports, the account code and disposition reports, as well as the CLI tracing for call centers, all of that's included. And just to make sure, just to clarify, make sure I explained this properly, the Vision360 agent license includes everything the UC user license does. So you don't need to assign two licenses. If you want call center and non-call center data, just assign the Vision360 agent license.
Perfect, thank you. One question from Frank. Do we have documentation available for Vision360?
Yes, absolutely. So we've worked hard to create documentation to try to help reduce any frictions regarding onboarding, migration, training. So we do have a full user guide. We have a quick user guide. We have an onboarding checklist. We have technical documents. We have training documents. We have report comparisons. We have a lot of information and documentation. So if anybody is interested in any of that, please contact us. We're happy to share it with you.
Hi, Max. One more question. Is
Perfect.
Vision360 generally available now?
Yes, Vision360 is generally available now. What we recommend is signing up for a trial just to make sure that you understand it, make sure you feel comfortable with it, and then when you're ready to move forward into production, we'll move you into the production environment and you can start selling it to your users, whenever you want, basically.
Thank you. How do we, as admins, see the portal?
So how do we as admins see the portal? So basically what we would need to do is we would just need to make sure that you have a login created for Vision360. Basically, if you just go whenever, pardon me, when we set you up for the first time, we'll create the logins for the main platform owners, the main administrators. So the first moment you get set up, we'll take care of that. But from there on out, basically, once you have that platform access, you can create administrative logins for anybody. Your own users, you can create them for your clients. So we'll create the initial logins, but after that, you'll be in control and you can create any logins you need. Hopefully that addresses the question.
Perfect, thank you. We follow the same hierarchy as Broadworks as well. So it's enterprise, reseller, group level. How do we apply the licensing?
Great question. So the licensing will be applied in one of two ways. So you can log into the normal Unity partner portal and apply the license there just by searching for the group and the users. It's the same process as any other Unity license, whether it's the agent or the supervisor dashboards. However, we also have we will have the capability to basically allow you to provision Vision licenses through API. So if you're using a provisioning server or provisioning service, you'll be able to connect you'll be able to connect our licensing system with that. So you can just add that into your normal provisioning platform.
Lovely. One more question, Max. What does the portal look like to us as the reseller, not as the end user we are selling it to?
So the portal as the reseller is actually going to look very similar. You're going to see all of the same options more or less with the exception of scheduling reports. Platform owners and above don't have the capability of scheduling reports, I believe for GDPR reasons, but you will have an additional menu on the left. It's going to be 3 dots, and if you click it, it expands. And it's going to list the entire hierarchy of customer accounts that you have set up within Vision. So you can go through different groups, different resellers, and then basically you can see all your different customer accounts that way. But in large part, the view for like a platform owner, a super admin, it's going to be pretty much exactly the same, just that with that additional menu and without the ability to schedule reports. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. Excuse me, we've already addressed how we apply the licenses now, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Yeah,
we spoke about Unity Partner Portal or API access with provisioning platform.
Perfect. No further questions. Thank you very much.
thank you, everybody. If anyone's interested in any demos, please don't hesitate to contact us. If you're in North America, contact myself, Max Edwards, max.edwards at kakaposystems.com. Whether it's a demo, you just want a little more information, you wanted to talk about pricing, or you just have a few questions, whatever it is, I'm very happy to help you, as is Lee. So if you're in Europe, please contact Lee Fallon, lee.fallon@kakaposystems.com. Again, he's happy to go over all the same things that I am. So if you need pricing, demos, want to set up a trial, have some questions, please feel free to reach out to either one of us. But other than that, I just wanted to thank everyone for attending. We really appreciate your time and your patience for spending some time with us here, especially on Valentine's Day. And if anyone does have any additional questions, wants any additional information, please feel free to email myself or Lee, or our email address, tellmemore@kakaposystems.com. Again, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day and wonderful rest of your week. Take care.